What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing well, having a great Monday. You know me. They call me Mr. Reliable for a reason, and I hate being late. Lateness is my kryptonite. Not that I'm Superman, but Faz has had a power cut. That's that's why we were late. Um, Typical, right? Typical. Just as you're getting ready to start, he's had a big power cut. So we were hoping that his power would turn back on. But you never know. So he's been affected. Planet Faz apparently has been affected by the weather, and Planet Faz is without power right now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he will be able to jump back in. But if not, it's just you and I. We can talk about Manchester United because guess what? There's plenty to get into. There's always plenty to get into when we're talking about Manchester United, right? There's always a lot of news stories to debate, discuss. And if it is just me and you, we can talk about it here. We can get your comments up on the screen. We can get your super chats in as well. Raz said, "Are they still debating Batman?" No. I was not. I was talking to KG about this after the show yesterday, in that once you start like crossing over superheroes as well from one universe to the other, because it was about Doctor Strange, and then it was like, is Batman stronger? That's DC and Marvel like mixing in, and that's just no. It doesn't work. These are different universes that never cross over. So no, I'm not having that. Eagle-eyed Football says Haaland to City confirmed. I'm trying not to think about it, to be honest with you guys. I'm doing my best not to think that much about it, because that does, to use a Doctor Strange reference, that does feel like the end game, right? If you look at Man City, right, they're the favourites to win the title again this year. That'll be what, 4 out of the last 5 titles that they've won. And they've done it the last 2 years. Well, they would have done it if they win it this year. The last 2 years without, a recognized striker. Yes, you can talk about Gabriel Jesus and all that kind of stuff, but without really a proper number 9. And then they get in one of the best strikers in the world, a young striker as well. It's daunting. But you know what? As Manchester United fans, I don't even think at this point we should even be looking, because we're so far beyond that. And, we're already very sad. Manchester United already makes us pretty sad, doesn't it? So we might as well not even look at them signing Erling Haaland, because it's just another one of those situations, right? One of those situations whereby it's just a case of, United. We had our opportunity. I don't know if you saw that thing from the Borussia Dortmund, was it the CEO or sporting director or whatever, where he said, we had to give him a release clause, because they said, "Oh, why did you put the release clause in there when you knew eventually he was going to leave because of that release clause?" And they said, the reason we put that release clause in there is because otherwise he was going to go to Manchester United. And it's just one of those things. That's just more salt in that wound, folks. But yeah, we'll see if Faz can join. If not, we'll have plenty to talk about. Let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, folks. And by the way, actually, before we do talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, I have got all of your messages from the full view last night. I've received them all. I've received a lot of people talking about the research that was put in. The facts speak for themselves. That's what we'll say. When you've got video and photographic evidence, the facts, they speak for themselves. KG, contrary to popular belief, KG did not cut Faz's power on Planet Faz. But who knows? KG's capable of anything. Let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, because reportedly Cristiano Ronaldo's preference is to remain at Manchester United next season. Now, I must preface this, folks, by saying it's not the most reliable of outlets, to be honest. But we'll go with it. So Cristiano Ronaldo's preference is to remain at Manchester United next season, and he will stay at Old Trafford unless Erik ten Hag makes it clear that he being Ronaldo, is not in his plans. This comes from The Sun. I mean, literally, I know, but they're claiming, and it was picked up by a couple of other outlets, and I think it's a good discussion point nevertheless, because there's a lot of speculation swirling about Cristiano Ronaldo right now, especially after that departure. Well, not departure, that final game of the season at Old Trafford, where he was smiling and waving to the fans. And you've got people like KG, who are saying, that's it. Look, he's waving to fans. He's off. He's leaving. Then you've got other people like myself that I'm thinking, I don't think he's really going anywhere, honestly. But the Sun are claiming that Ronaldo wants to stay at the club, and he's told his teammates that he will remain at the club unless Ten Hag tells him otherwise. Now, of course, that's going to be a boost for Manchester United, who were worried that Cristiano Ronaldo would opt to leave the club after their failure to qualify for the Champions League. So, first of all, do we think that Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be a Manchester United player next season? Let me know in the chat, actually. This is an interesting one, considering it is just going to be you and I this evening, folks. Do you think that Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be a Manchester United player at the beginning of next season? Simple yes or no. I'd be quite interested to know. From my perspective, yes. And the more I think about it, yes. He wants to stay, according to these reports, and it's a difficult one because I would think there's two reasons why I think he's going to be a Manchester United player next season. One, I think he's going to be a Manchester United player because I look at it as, where else would he go? Where else is Cristiano Ronaldo going to go, honestly? I know people will say, well, the way he left Juventus and the way that it was a case of he just basically packed up his locker and said that I'm off. And he said when he was on international duty, right, I'm the boss. I decide my future. I do what I want, that kind of situation. I get that. But in terms of viable alternatives, Cristiano Ronaldo's contract, when it comes to everything added up in the end, when it comes to his salary, when it comes to his bonuses, when it comes to all of the above, ends up at just under £1 million a week. Who's paying that? What other club is going to pay that right now? Especially in a market whereby, not every club has a ton of money. Other clubs are looking to do big business, but with other players. Real Madrid are going to spend a lot of money this summer when it comes to Rudiger on a free transfer, wages, signing on fee. We don't really know what's going to happen with Mbappe. But it looks like Pogba could be going to PSG as well. What other club can realistically pick up that kind of wage? I don't know. I really don't. So I think that's a big part of it, honestly. But when it comes to, his, maybe sort of personal sort of reasons as to why he would stay at Manchester United, I think he would probably stay because I do often think, what must he be thinking? What must Cristiano Ronaldo be thinking? We might actually have Faz. Let's see if this is working. Faz.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. The power is still looks to be off. Kind of Faz.
Yeah, the connection is like Manchester United's connection is not working.
Yeah,
but we'll try and make out what you say. Sorry for the delay. Power cut in the building, so I'm trying to have to revert to 5G.
There have been rumors and concerns that it was KG that cut your power. Is this accurate?
Oh, there you go. I'm gone again.
He's gone again. See, it's not working out. This is going to be one of those streams, folks. This is going to be one of those streams that's just not going to work. Well, if Faz's power gets back on, we'll bring him back on, but it doesn't look like that 5G is going to work. Anyway, though, there you go. Raz says the power is not powering. This is accurate. Saving electricity settings, yes. And I'm said, hi, Faz. Bye, Faz, because he's not he's not there anymore. But yeah, going back to the Ronaldo discussion here. Again, from a financial point of view, I look at who will be able to actually afford him. Not many people, realistically, not many clubs. And from his perspective, look, there is this there's two sides of this argument, isn't there? Raz was a great point. He says Thanos blipped half the panel. It's true. It's very true. Flex wouldn't understand that reference if he's watching, but he would not understand that. There's two sides of this argument, isn't there? If Erik Ten Hag would want him, and do we think he'd be part of Erik Ten Hag's plans next season? Now, there are some people of the opinion that Cristiano Ronaldo, at 37 years old, doesn't fit into the Ten Hag system, right? Because he's too old. We need a big rebuild. We're looking to play possession football. Can Cristiano Ronaldo do that? But also, he will be looking to have somewhat of a press, somewhat of an energetic style from Manchester United next season. Can Cristiano Ronaldo do that? Do we need a total refresh? the way that I sit on that is, I think Eric Ten Hag would be, to be honest, quite naive to not want Cristiano Ronaldo at the club next season. You know, he got a tune somewhat out of players like Sebastian Haller. So, of course, why wouldn't he want Cristiano Ronaldo in his Manchester United side? And frankly, there are far bigger issues and problems to deal with at Manchester United right now when Eric Ten Hag is coming right through the door than Cristiano Ronaldo, right? There are far bigger issues to deal with at this point. The captaincy, the fullbacks, the centre backs, midfield players. We need a defensive midfielder. We need an offensive midfielder. We might need a wide right player as well. We're going to be getting a striker, a younger striker, to be back up to Cristiano Ronaldo. We know that's going to happen. So to me, I just see it. It's a bit like the David De Gea situation. Is it going to be a problem eventually? Of course it is. Ronaldo's 37. By the end of his contract, he'll be 38 years old. And he's not the future of United. And he certainly isn't the United that he isn't the player that Manchester United can build around to try somehow to catch up to Manchester City and Liverpool. But there are far bigger and more pressing issues at this point. And I just don't think if Eric Ten Hag came in and went, I want Cristiano Ronaldo out of here, I'd be saying, in terms of priorities, is that the right thing to be focusing on right now? I don't think so. I don't. And Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die with a super chat. Appreciate the contribution. Says, not suspicious at all that when you said KG cut his power, he was gone. Well, you know me. I enjoy research. I enjoy people thinking rationally. Put 2 and 2 together. What'd you get? That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say on that. Appreciate the contribution. And also from Cristiano Ronaldo, as we're talking about CR7 here, look at this season for Manchester United, because there is an argument that this legitimately could be the worst Manchester United side statistically in Premier League history, which is pretty wild when you think about some of the players we do have in the squad. We've got Ronaldo, we've got Varane, right? We've got De Gea, we've got Pogba, got Sancho, you know, those big sort of marquee kind of players. Statistically, on paper, it might be the worst Manchester United side in Premier League history. The reason I say it could be the worst Manchester United side in Premier League history is because you look at it's the worst points total that we've ever had in the Premier League. That is factual after the defeat against Brighton. It's the most goals we've ever conceded in a Premier League season. We've got a worse defense than the likes of Burnley. We've got 5 consecutive away defeats. So statistically, it's a very strong argument, frankly, that this Man United side is the worst Man United side in Premier League history. But despite all of those damning stats, and they are very, very, very damning, let's be honest here, Ronaldo is still the 3rd top goal scorer in the Premier League. At 37 years old, in the best league in the world, it's the hardest league, the most competitive league in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo is still scoring goals in arguably, statistically, the worst Premier League Manchester United side that we've ever seen. So what does that say about him? Imagine Ten Hag does manage to make this side into a bit of a better side, which he should, considering the wages some of these players are on, and considering the reputation or the faith that some of these players have in themselves, or they believe that how good they are. If Cristiano Ronaldo was playing in a fractionally better side, who knows what he could do? So I think, again, from the perspective of Eric Ten Hag, he'll be thinking, I've got bigger issues to think about. Yes, Ronaldo, we'll keep you for a season. Why not? He's got 1 year left on his contract anyway. And then when it comes to, and it makes United's life easier as well. Even if people, the higher ups at Manchester United are thinking, you know what, maybe we do need to move Cristiano Ronaldo on. Maybe it's worth moving him on, actually, and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be tough. Contracts are real. Get to the end of next season. If he doesn't get a new contract, very easy for Manchester United. Look at Paul Pogba. He's off. Everything just gets easier. So, again, in terms of, the big issues at Manchester United, I'm not sure that Cristiano Ronaldo is the priority this summer. So I think he's going to stick around. I do. The Dixon Way says, Owen, do you think Flex and KG look like a knockoff Will Smith and Uncle Phil? Well, I believe that is a Fresh Prince reference. And you'll be shocked that I have maybe watched 5 episodes of The Fresh Prince of BelAir. It won't shock you that I'm not that well versed on it. Like most people, I know the theme song, I know the general premise. I haven't watched the new version, You know that they've got that new version that's on, like, was it in Peacock in the United States on the NBC streaming service? It's meant to be like the Fresh Prince, but not comedy, not with a studio audience, but serious, isn't it? I think that's the whole point. And I have no idea if it's any good at all. I don't even. I mean, I think I heard some people say it was rubbish. I'm not a clue, but I do understand the reference, and the answer is no. I don't think so. Not particularly, you know. No, but there you go. Austin Baker saying it's fire. What, the new version? I mean, I know about the old version, obviously, right? What's the guy? The guy Carlton, is that his name, with the dance and all that? I'm not out of the loop that much. We are talking about a show in the 90s. In fairness, go back to Cristiano Ronaldo though. Yeah, are there bigger issues to deal with? Absolutely. Should he be captain though next season? That's the big question, isn't it? Should he be captain of Manchester United? Honestly, I kind of have. I'll be honest. I have sort of changed my tune a little bit on this one when it comes to him being captain. Because I really struggle to see alternatives. I've mentioned David De Gea as possibly the other person that I would give it to, but I've kind of settled on the point that I think that Cristiano Ronaldo at this point, if I'm Eric Ten Hag, this is what I would do. I would come in, obviously, I would take the captaincy off Harry Maguire. I would say to myself, you know what, Harry, it's such an easy time to do it, and it's an easy excuse. Not that you need one, but in terms of if you want to just sort of soften the blow a little bit, you'd say, look, we're going to go in a different direction. We want to, it's not working out. The scrutiny on you is way too much. I thought that maybe there are better options at the club. I'm going to take the captaincy off you. And I would just say, I'm going to give it to Cristiano. Now, people would say, but Ronaldo's only going to be there for a season. Yes. But he would be easily the most respected guy in the dressing room, no doubt about it. And then Ten Hag gives himself a season of, okay, let's figure out who this captain is going to be. Let's figure out who this captain's going to be for Manchester United going forward for the next 5 years, for the next maybe 10 years, depending how young they are. Let's figure this out then. Because I think Ten Hag's got to come in and basically do a lot of quick fixes. He's got to go in and figure things out pretty quickly. He's got to go in and actually say, you know what? I need to again try and figure out the big issues. I need to fix the big issues, and anything that he can kind of put off. And I don't mean put off in a bad way, but I mean kind of put off into, we can figure that out at a later date. Cristiano Ronaldo's future, the captaincy, long term. That's what he's got to do. So I think that Ronaldo should be the captain for a year, and then he'll figure out. And it may be long term. It might be Bruno Fernandes. Maybe it might be someone. Maybe it might be David De Gea. Maybe it might be whoever. But I think that would be the way to go, honestly. So yeah, I think that would be the way to go. But I think also it does speak volumes about him wanting to stay. I think it does speak volumes about Cristiano Ronaldo wanting to stay. And you could say that, well, he is committed to the club. And the fact that he is committed to the club says a lot too. And I think there has to be partially part of that. Again, I do think the major driving force is that not that there's not any suitors, because of course people would want Cristiano Ronaldo in their side, but it's just a case of who can afford him in this transfer window as well. There's going to be a lot of movement too. So I think that's where it's going to go with Ronaldo. But look, this season absolutely has hurt his pride. Of course it has. How hasn't this season hurt Cristiano Ronaldo's pride? I think that I mentioned this in my fan view I did after the game at the weekend. If I'm Cristiano Ronaldo and we're talking about Doctor Strange, right, he must think he's in the multiverse. He must say to himself, this isn't the Manchester United that I know. This isn't the Manchester United that I played for. This is some bizarro world Manchester United. When I was at Manchester United, we were winning Champions Leagues. We got to 2 Champions League finals back to back. We were winning Premier League title after Premier League title. Now, I understand, right, you can't live in the past. I get it. You can't live in the past. But he must have thought to himself, and I wonder how quickly that realization came in, right? I wonder how quickly Cristiano Ronaldo actually realized this is off. It can't have been long. It can't have been, because Cristiano Ronaldo is experienced enough, has won enough both individually and as part of many successful teams to maybe do 2 or 3 training sessions and go, you know what, this ain't working. That this is something is really, really, really wrong here at United. So, I think that's that. I just penny for his thoughts. I mean, there are going to be so many. I've seen a lot of people say this. There are going to be so many like books and things written about Manchester United or this period of time at Manchester United. I think, and as is the way with all these kind of stories, as is the way with all this kind of stuff. I think that it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be absolutely fascinating. So we'll keep an eye out that when it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo. Keep an eye on that. Let's talk about Paul Pogba as well. Let me just check this news story because I've just been told to check a tweet here. No, it's nothing. Paul Pogba. It was the Paul Pogba thing. Let's talk about Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba to Manchester City is not going to happen. He has opted against joining Manchester City. Instead, he's favouring the whole package offered by another club. This was from David Ornstein earlier on today. Bear with me 2 seconds. Paul Pogba, yes. I'm multitasking here. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at multitasking. Paul Pogba to Manchester City is not going to happen, as I mentioned. He's opted against joining City. Instead, he's favouring the whole package offered by another club. That club is rumoured to be based abroad. Now, the clubs involved here are Juventus, PSG, and Real Madrid. They're thought to be the most likely destinations for Paul Pogba at the present, although a final decision has yet to be made. Pogba is understood to have received a flattering proposal from Manchester City and gave serious contemplation to them. However, Pogba's representatives are believed to have informed City that he is to continue his career at another team. So again, that all comes from David Ornstein, which basically means, in recent times that it's near enough gospel. As we mentioned before, David Ornstein does not miss at all. He was the guy that broke the exclusive about this sort of verbal agreement between Manchester United and Erik ten Hag. He was the guy that broke the story about Ralf Rangnick becoming the interim Manchester United manager. So the fact that Ornstein, and in fairness, Ornstein did say this at the weekend. I believe he was working for NBC Sports in the United States. And he said at the time, actually, you know what, from what I've heard, Paul Pogba, I don't think is going to go to Manchester City. Now, it's not to say that, again, that he hasn't received an offer, because that's what they're saying here. He did receive an offer, but he's understood to favour a move abroad as opposed to going to Manchester City. Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite here, because for a brief period of time, because I did the stream with Flex on Saturday before the game, that I really thought it was possible. I did. I thought that was an absolute possibility. I thought Paul Pogba, you could see it. That was my biggest thing. I thought I can see that happening purely because of, and people will say a lot about him, virus, and they do the whole toxic thing, and I do agree with people that the media have a certain thing with Paul Pogba. You can argue it's an agenda. You can argue it's whatever. I don't think he helps himself. I think him and the media are constantly like this. And when Pogba puts out videos like he did the other day, I think he does know what he's doing, even though I think it's a cultural difference. I do think he knows what he's doing, and he knows the reaction he's going to get, and he's sort of, F it, I'm going to put it out anyway. But when the report came out about Pogba possibly going to Manchester City and City being interested and all that kind of stuff, I could see it, because I thought, you know what, the relationship, not that there isn't one between Manchester United fans and Paul Pogba. So I don't think he particularly cares that much about pissing them off, honestly. I don't think he cares about upsetting people. I don't think Paul Pogba cares really what people really think about him. So at the time, I thought I can see it. And it's obvious that he's leaving Manchester United because he wants to be successful. Like, that can't be argued, because Manchester United have offered him a couple of times a lot of money to stay. In my opinion, way more money than he's worth to stay, right? I think that's worth pointing out too. They've offered him at points 400k a week, 500k a week. Paul Pogba's not worth that amount. He just isn't. You can argue about the Pogba brand. Well, I don't care that much about the Pogba brand. I care about the Paul Pogba that plays on the pitch. And it hasn't been successful. It has. You can talk about, well, yeah, first season he won these trophies, whatever. Paul Pogba's legacy at Manchester United is going to be a player that had a lot of scrutiny on him, that had high hopes on him, but ultimately was inconsistent, didn't play all the time. And the biggest, I guess, legacy of Paul Pogba at Manchester United is, how do you get the best out of Paul Pogba? He's been at the club 5 years, 6 years, and we still haven't figured out that question. We still haven't figured out, how do you get the best out of Paul Pogba? That's a problem. That is an issue. That will be his legacy. How do you get the best out of Paul Pogba? We never figured it out. So when it came to those reports linking him to City, I thought I could see it. I thought he don't really care what people think. He doesn't have that much of a relationship with the Manchester United fans. His last appearance at Old Trafford, he was booed off. His last appearance for Manchester United looks to be coming off after like 5 minutes against our greatest rivals, Liverpool, in their back garden at Anfield. So I thought it was just par for the course when it comes to Paul Pogba. It is Manchester United story. But reportedly, Pogba has an issue. It's clear that he does, and I think he has a right one. He has an issue with the British press, which, again, I've defended him in terms of some of the coverage, press coverage I think that he's got, I think is ridiculous. Honestly, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and you know where it comes from. So the fact that he would go, no, I just don't want to be in the Premier League anymore. I don't want to be as part of that, I don't want to be covered by the British press, whatever, then that's his prerogative. It does. Do I think him not going to City leaves him with any integrity from some Man United fans? Honestly, no, because I think a lot of people at United fans, have made their mind up when it comes to Paul Pogba. From my perspective, do I really, really dislike Paul Pogba? No, I don't dislike any of it, but there aren't many of those United players that I like that much anyway. Paul Pogba isn't special by that example, right? He's not. I don't particularly like many of those United players. I don't think it's a very likable team right now. That's not just because they're losing. That's because of when you get the leaks and when you come to see their interviews and all that kind of stuff, there aren't many likable Manchester United players. So again, Paul Pogba's not alone in that. But him not going to City, I'm not going to sit here and be like, he didn't go to Man City, so he's still got some integrity from the United fans. No. When you talk to a Manchester United fan about Paul Pogba in 5 years, 10 years, the biggest discussion point will be, man, we bought him for 100 million euros, like it was 89 million quid, most expensive signing ever. And he left on a free. He was there for 6 years. He won a couple of trophies in his first year. But apart from that, he was inconsistent. He had a constant back and forth with the fans, constant back and forth with the media. It felt like it was more about him as opposed to the team, or the Pogba brand, he felt at times was bigger than the team, or the spotlight had to be on him as opposed to the team. And again, how do you get the best out of Paul Pogba? How many times have we had that conversation on any kind of channel? So that would be his legacy. So I don't think him deciding, I'm not going to go to Man City, I don't think that leaves him with a ton of integrity in terms of the United fans. Now, PSG or Real Madrid or Juventus. The Juventus one, I just can't see happening because, again, not that it's necessarily about money to him, because I don't think it is. Because if it was about money, he would have stuck at Manchester United because we've offered him more money than anyone else has. I can't see the Juventus one happening unless Paul Pogba says, I'm going to take a really, 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 really significant pay cut. And then maybe that will happen. But Juventus aren't the Juventus of 2 or 3 years ago. They're just not. They're fourth at the moment. They'll probably finish fourth in Serie A this season. I think the nearest side to them is Roma in terms of that top four. And I think Roma are like 8 points behind, so that's not going to happen. But they're not the Juventus of a few years ago. And it would be funny because it would almost be like when he went to United in the first place, a side that, was a once great side, but, was winning titles a few years prior and had gone kind of, and had slipped off. And if you drop Paul Pogba into that Juventus side right now, do they win Serie A? I don't think so. I don't. So I'm not sure if he would want to win trophies, why he would go to Juventus. If he wants to win trophies and he goes to PSG, of course he's going to win a ton of French trophies. That's par for the course. But in terms of European trophies, if he wants to win the Champions League, is PSG even the right move? And we talk about scrutiny, the media scrutiny. Maybe he has, I don't really know what Pogba's relationship is like with the French media. I would assume it's probably better considering he's a World Cup winner. But the scrutiny will be there when he's at PSG because he's the prodigal son returning home to France. And if he goes to PSG and he still has the same issues that he's having at Manchester United, and he's still not playing, he has games where you go, man, this guy's unbelievable. But then he has games where he's just totally off it and he's so inconsistent and he's injury prone and all that kind of stuff. And they don't win the Champions League. That scrutiny will be there. And will he go there and will he win trophies? Maybe he wants to go there because he's going to be playing with Messi and Neymar. It looks like they're going to be there next season. Maybe that's why he wanted to be there, because the Pogba brand is bigger than the Pogba player. And you go into that PSG side and there are a lot of big brands in that PSG side. And he can wear the Jordan shirt and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's why he would want to go to PSG. If he wanted to go somewhere to win trophies, you would say, well, go to Real Madrid. They won La Liga this season. Now, you could argue Barcelona will probably be a bit closer to them than they were this season. You never know, though. But they're in the Champions League final. We know that this Real Madrid side know how to get it done in Europe. So if he realistically, out of the clubs that are after him, which club should he go to if he wants to win big trophies? It would be Real Madrid. So, but again, with that one, they're going to have a busy summer. They've already basically done the Rudiger deal, which is a lot of money. Rudiger was asking for big wages, and it'll be a big signing on fee as well. We know that they're interested in Mbappe. That's still, we don't know what that case is. I think it's more 50-50 than it was previously. I think before, a lot of people assumed it was a done deal and he was going to be going to Real Madrid. But the reports are coming out going, last week he's going to stay with PSG. And then, Team Mbappe comes out and says, no, we haven't really made our mind up on anything like that. We haven't really made our mind up on where he's going to go, or he's not made his mind up. So that's still open. Obviously, you could say that, this is a Real Madrid side that's going to be losing big contracts this summer as well, because I think Bale's out of contract and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to have certainly money to spend. But if I had to pick out of all of those clubs, where would he go now? It would be between PSG and Madrid. I would probably maybe lean towards more PSG, because I think obviously they've got the money, and especially if Mbappe and that goes, they'll want to have a big brand there. But if he goes to PSG, he wins Liga. Okay, he wins Liga, but then does he win the Champions League? I don't know. I really don't know. So that's kind of the situation there. And to be honest, do we all really particularly care, about Paul Pogba, his future, what his future is at Manchester United, or out of Manchester United? Not really. I think the biggest thing of why people were upset about the Pogba situation over the weekend was that it's Man City. And there's always a concern, isn't there? Whenever you've got a player at your club that then goes to a Premier League rival or another big side, the fear is that, what if they do really well? What if they do really well at that? And do we look stupid? And then is it another bad situation, or is it more mismanagement for Manchester United? But honestly, I struggled to figure out where he would fit into that Manchester City side, rather. I really did. And there are a lot of people, the Team Pogba people, that were like, he's going to go there, he's going to ball out. There were people that were more leaning toward where I was leaning, going, well, he might do well. He'd be successful because he would win stuff at Manchester City. But would he be playing any better than he's playing now? I really don't know. It depends how you define success, honestly. Let's talk about Erik ten Hag. Let's talk about his assistant, Mitchell van der Gag. Reportedly, Manchester United are close to confirming this. This comes from Rob Dawson of ESPN. He says, I don't give an F about Paul Pogba. There you go. Brutus says PSG wants 70 million for Neymar. I tell you what, if this was any other season, I would not rule out Man United going for him. It's such a Man United signing, isn't it? Right? How old's Neymar? 29. Big name. Injury prone. It's got United written all over it, doesn't it? It really does. Let's talk about Erik ten Hag, though, and his assistant manager. As I mentioned, Manchester United are close to confirming Mitchell van der Gag as one of Erik ten Hag's backroom staff. This comes from Rob Dawson from ESPN. I think this is really important. Obviously, there was a lot of discussion as to, were we even going to get van der Gag? Because the report was that he wanted to join Manchester United and was keen to join Manchester United as Erik ten Hag's assistant. But the other concern was that he might be offered the Ajax job, and that's difficult to turn down. And Ajax could have, and we don't really know the situation there, but Ajax certainly could have said, we really want to keep you. Do you want to take ten Hag's job? We want a bit of continuity here. And whilst this manager is going, We want to keep the philosophy that he's implemented, the Ajax philosophy. We want to keep it consistent, especially for the players that are going to be staying. We think you're ready for the step up. Do you want to be the next Ajax manager? Now, I'm not going to profess myself to be an expert on the happenings of Ajax or anything like that. If you are looking for that, go to We Talk Ajax and the guys, and Juan and Papamento do a great job of that. But I would assume that if United are close to confirming Mitchell van der Gag as one of his backroom staff, either he's decided, I just want to go with Eric where he's going, or maybe Ajax are looking in different directions when it comes to their manager. Nevertheless, it is very, very, very important, I think, because we've seen the importance of not being prepared when it comes to the coaching staff. And I think a lot of people, and I'm not going to hide from this one, myself included, really criticized the previous coaches at Manchester United, right? Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Michael Carrick, Kieran McKenna, Pert, Mike Phelan. We still talk about Mike Phelan to this day, right? But we criticized and spoke about the coaches a lot at United. But it's also clear at this point that the coaches that were brought in to support Ralph probably aren't that much better. Let's be honest, because I mean, not that you could ever please these players, because I think they just, these players, we'll get it next season. 100%. We'll get that report next season of the players find Eric Ten Hag's methods underwhelming, or the players find Eric Ten Hag's training sessions underwhelming, all that kind of stuff. It's going to happen. We just know. But we've seen what happens when you don't bring in the best coaches. I kind of do sympathize with and empathize with Ralph, honestly, because, and this just goes to show the mess, the circus that is Manchester United. So we sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Of course, that wasn't part of the plan. So we sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We hire in a manager, an interim manager, and I think the United board thought, we'll just put Ralph Rangnick in there and we'll keep the entire coaching staff the way that it is. And Ralph Rangnick said, actually, you know what? I do want to have a couple of coaches. They went, okay, a couple of coaches, whatever. We're not going to have that big change. We'll figure out that big change at the end of the season. What they didn't anticipate, and I don't think Ralph Rangnick anticipated this either, what they didn't anticipate was that essentially the entire backroom staff went, nah, I'm off. Kieran McKenna went to manage Ipswich. Michael Carrick said, I want some time off. And then that left Manchester United and Ralph Rangnick scrambling, going, we need to bring in a backroom staff. The issue is that it's very difficult to assemble an interim backroom staff, because Rangnick was going to people that he worked with in the past that were currently in permanent jobs and full-time jobs, going, do you want to come in and be an interim coach at Manchester United or an interim assistant manager to the end of the season? And these people that were currently in jobs said, well, wait a minute. You want me to leave a permanent job that's for X amount of years for an interim job to the end of the season? We know you're on a consultancy contract afterwards. What happens to us? Are we going to stick around? No, that's just the end of the season. Why would you leave that permanent job? Now, I know some people would say, well, it's Manchester United. It's a huge opportunity. You never know what's going to happen. But you kind of do know what's going to happen, because it was very unlikely from the start, let's be honest, that Manchester United were going to make the same mistake or do the same thing twice in terms of hire an interim manager, then essentially hire him and his backroom staff full time. That was very unlikely. So for those other people, they were thinking, no, I'm not going to go. So it left us with scramble for this backroom staff and maybe not get the one that is good enough for Manchester United. And that's why it's so important that we get this backroom staff right now for Manchester United. And that's why it's so important that we don't just get Ten Hag, we get Ten Hag's team too. Lil Yo with the super chat says, United put Mitchell on a Van der Gag order. But it's very good, Lil Yo. It's very, very good. Yeah, I appreciate that. But again, like I said, I don't think it can be overstated, really, just how important it is that we get in, one, who Ten Hag wants from a coaching perspective here. I'm not talking about players, but it's kind of the same principles, honestly. But I can't overstate how important it is that we get in, one, who Eric Ten Hag wants, and two, who he needs. We're not just buying Eric Ten Hag. We need to buy the team around him as well. You look at, and I know it's kind of becoming really, really like cliche and annoying at this point that you have to constantly compare to Manchester City, to Liverpool, or whoever. But you look at the coaching team that they have surrounding them. It's vast and it's all their people. So whoever Eric Ten Hag wants and whoever he needs, most importantly, if he goes to Manchester United, I need this person on my coaching staff, give it to him. Or he says, you know, I need this person, I need that person, I need this person, I need that person. We go and get them. That's it. We just go and get them. And as I mentioned, because there have been many instances in the past where just a manager's come to a club without the backroom stuff and it hasn't worked out. The team is just as important nowadays when it comes to the managerial situation. So hopefully that one gets confirmed soon. Finally, I do want to talk about some changes that are being implemented by John Murtough. Yes, Murtough's madness, the revolution continues under the Manchester United football director. Now, this comes from a quite in-depth report from Samuel Lucas of the Manchester Evening News, who says that Manchester United are planning more significant changes. They are expected to hire another football director, with several staff changes also planned at their Carrington training complex. Sources say Manchester United are planning a, quote, big restructure, having seemingly finalised their restructuring last year with the appointments of John Murtough as football director and Darren Fletcher as technical director. Murtough has taken overall leadership of recruitment with support from Fletcher, the recruitment department and legal department for finer contract details, as Matt Judge is about to leave his role as Director of Football Negotiations. Richard Arnold, of course, the new Chief Executive of Manchester United, believes significant changes are required in a number of departments to change Manchester United's image as a football club. Sources say staff have got, quote, too big for their boots. Now, changes are also underway in the communications department after the director of communications, Charlie Brooks, confirmed he was stepping down after 3.5 years. Arnold is believed to be unhappy with Manchester United's widely derided social media strategy. So, big restructure at Manchester United. Positive news. Of course it is. Everyone keeps saying, and it's a cliche, and but it's the truth, that this club really does need to be restructured top to bottom. And I do think there is room to be optimistic about all of these changes that are going on behind the scenes when it comes to, the scouting department being overhauled, the recruitment department being overhauled, the communications department being overhauled as well. I think that's a significant factor. My only concern is, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, my concern is that there's a really big summer ahead. We know that. When it comes to transfers, recruitment, new manager, players leaving that will need to be replaced, but also other players that need to leave the club that aren't good enough. And we need to bring in players that have been thoroughly scouted, fit a certain profile, and ultimately improve Manchester United and can develop over years. That's what we need to be looking at. And there doesn't look to be a real direct replacement for Matt Judge. Now, I know they said, we're going to bring in another football director, but that by all accounts is going to be a deputy football director that works under John Murtough. So there isn't going to be really a like-for-like replacement for Matt Judge. It's more going to be a case of John Murtough and Darren Fletcher taking over recruitment from him. And that is somewhat concerning because you could say, well, is someone like Murtough going to be spreading himself pretty thin here? And what experience does Darren Fletcher have in terms of recruitment and negotiating transfers? Slim to none. Now, on the flip side, you could say, well, they can't do much worse than Matt Judge did. That's probably fair too. But the problem is Matt Judge had no experience in football negotiations as well. How do we keep getting in this situation where people in one of the biggest football clubs in the world working on like multi-million-pound deals have no history or have no experience in negotiating any of these deals? It's pretty wild. Now, I know they're saying, they're going to be leaning on legal departments and recruitment departments and all that kind of stuff, but surely, isn't it worth value of Manchester United going, like, there are actual recruitment experts out there. And when I say experts, I mean people that have done this at multiple other clubs and been successful, like Paul Mitchell. There are other people out there as well. Why wouldn't Manchester United look at that and go, he's done it a million times before at these other clubs, we'll bring him in? How are we getting into this situation where we can have inexperienced people in this major position? And it'd be one thing if there wasn't that much work that needed to be done on the squad, where you go, well, the squad's pretty much perfect anyway. We can get away with it if we don't have someone, particularly experienced in that role for this summer. We have a massive summer ahead. One of the biggest summers ever at Manchester United. And we're overhauling the recruitment department. That's great. But also, who's going to be negotiating these things? Now, obviously, proof will be in the pudding. If we have a great summer, then you'll go, well, credit to John Murtough and Darren Fletcher. Absolutely. And I will wait to see what they do before they are judged. But I can't lie, it does make me very concerned. because it has to. How can that not make you very concerned? So, in my opinion, of course, we still need a recruitment person. It's naive to say that we don't, especially with this big summer coming up, both incomings and outgoings as well. So that absolutely does concern me, and especially when you've got someone like Ralf Rangnick as well. He's under contract now. Granted, he's now going to be the manager of Austria, but could they not say, actually, you know what, Ralf? We're kind of a bit short-handed a little bit here this summer. Do you fancy doing more than 6 days a month? Can we not get you in as, like, I don't know, I don't even know what his title was, Matt Judge's. He was like negotiator or something ridiculous like that. Why can't they just have Ralf do that for a summer? You know, he could be interim negotiator for a summer. He's been interim everything else at this point. So that does worry me. That does concern me. But I do think, again, it's a positive from Richard Arnold, the new chief executive of Manchester United, that he believes a significant amount of changes are needed in a number of departments in terms of the image of Manchester United. Now, some people may sort of roll their eyes when they hear that. They'll say, oh, well, because all he cares about is perception, or all he cares about is how Manchester United are perceived. But I think what that report is basically saying is that Richard Arnold is very, very aware that a lot of people inside the football world, you know, other clubs, other sporting directors, other director of football's technical directors, look at Man United and laugh and say, Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, look at the people that are running their departments. Look at the people that are running their recruitment. Look at the people that are running their scouting networks. It's ridiculous. And I think he's looking at that going, significant changes are needed because they're not best. We always say it, best in class. They're not best in class. We've got some of the worst in class. Some people that are in those positions that are looking around going, I cannot believe I'm here. I have no idea how I got here. And the fact that there is at least being acknowledged of these people aren't good enough. We need to just get rid of them. The only concern is, and I've said this before, getting rid of those people like the chief scout, like the head of global scouting, like Matt Judge. That's great. But that's only half of the equation. The other half of the equation is, who do you replace them with? Because if you replace them with like for like, or you replace them with nobody or people that don't have experience, you're in the exact same position. And that is just changing something for the sake of changing something. You know, changing things only works when you replace them with more positive things. You know, that maybe is oversimplifying things, but that's the way that it works. So, and I do think he is right, Richard Arnold, that some of the staff at Manchester United have got too big for their boots. How comfortable were some of those people in those positions? How comfortable were our scouting departments? I'd be ashamed. I'd be embarrassed if I worked in that recruitment department. You'd have to be, or you'd be embarrassed if you worked in Manchester United's, you know, said negotiating transfers. They would say, I negotiate these big transfers and, you know, I brought in brands like Ronaldo and Pogba and it made Manchester United a lot of money. Well, that's great. But in terms of actual success on the pitch, which is the fundamentals of football at this point, and this is what's crazy in today's social media age, is that people think like, you know, the off-pitch stuff is more important. It's not. The foundations of everything are always on the pitch. It's a success on the pitch. And if I worked in that recruitment department or that scouting department, again, I would be embarrassed, because if someone asked me when they have their, like, I don't know, their performance reviews every year or twice a year, who did you sign? This person, this person, this person. Great. What did they do on the pitch? Not that much. Oh, well, you know, what did they do on the pitch? Wow, not that much. You signed Paul Pogba, €100 million. Great. Oh, what's he doing now? He's going to leave for a free. Yeah. Good one. Did we offer him a contract? We did. Yeah, we did offer him a contract. Yeah, it was $500K a week. Are you shitting me? They think it's a joke. So absolutely, some of these people got too big for their boots. The guy he replaced, Ed Woodward, got too big for his boots. CEO, director of football, technical director. He thought he was everything. You know, and you have to have, let's be honest, some kind of ego to be at Manchester United with little to no football experience and think you know better than people that have been in the game a really long time, especially in those kind of roles. So he was right. Absolutely, those people have got too big for their boots. And again, I look at Richard Arnold sort of looking back and saying, look, the best in class, what a joke. Not best in class. So, yeah, we do need to get rid of all these people. But again, I'm not willing to give any credit until I see who the replacements are. And even once we see who the replacements are, you also then have to see, how does it look on the pitch? How does it look on the pitch afterwards as well? because these replacements coming in could be great. But until we start seeing actual, positivity on the pitch, improved performances, it all really means nothing. So again, I think he looks at Manchester United and realizes that a lot of people within football see us as behind the times. I remember those reports or those videos and clips are all over social media of pundits or foreign journalists or sporting directors laughing at United. I forget his name, but he's that French journalist. And he was saying that, it's a well-known thing in football that Man United are terrible at negotiating transfers. And sometimes it just comes down to arrogance. We think we're smarter than everyone else. And that needs to change. That absolutely needs to change. So, yeah, that's the way that I view it. As far as the social media strategy, we'll wrap up after this. But as far as the social media strategy, again, I look at that as a positive. I do. I look at that as a positive for Richard Arnold. I think that, again, Manchester United can be happy that they've got all of these followers on social media and all of these likes and whatever. And they probably make a lot of money doing it, and good for them. But it doesn't, again, it's widely accepted that our social media strategy, if you will, is laughable. The fact that, again, you see all of these posts and that come out after games and all that kind of stuff, and pundits on television mock us, or rival fans mock us for the social media strategy. Again, I do look at that as a positive of our chief executive, looking at all the criticism we have over this just, social media FC, as people call it, and going, no, we can't be doing that. Because eventually, eventually all of that does catch up to you. And it already, to be honest, has started to, that we've become a bit of a parody at this point. Let's be honest. People look at us and laugh. And they look at us and laugh for all of those reasons, because the people higher up in the club shouldn't be there, or certainly are not the best in class, and they don't deserve to be there. They laugh at us because, we'd lose 4-0, and then we'll have these social media posts that are just completely, don't read the room, or just look nonsensical, or just again, laughable. Or people, that thing when in the bios for all the Twitter accounts, right? I think it was the top 6 sides or the top 4 sides, or maybe it was just Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and then it was United, and they all had just the stuff you would expect in their bio, like established, blah blah blah, or whatever. And in United's one, it was a link to buy the new shirt. And eventually it got taken down because of so much scrutiny on social media. But that was the point. That's the point, is that read the room. Have your finger on the pulse of what your fans actually want. Fans don't want apologies and all that kind of stuff after the game. They want results. They want authenticity. They want to believe in the players. They want to like the players. And that's what social media should be doing. Social media should be a tool that allows you a closer access to the players, gets you to see their real personality, not that PR firm behind it, but that see their real personality and like the players, engage with the players, engage with the club, be proud of the club. But so many times you see the stuff that you see on social media coming from Man United, and you just roll your eyes because they just can't get it right at all. And it's incredibly frustrating. It really is. But anyway, guys, look, we're going to wrap it up there. A surprise solo stream, a surprise solo monologue from myself. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Fat Thor says, Owen, please show the flex pick before you end the stream. You know what? It's actually not on here anymore. I was cleaning the house and I actually got rid of it earlier on. I think maybe because if I show it again, I might get fired or something like that. I feel like you could only get away with doing that with whose channel it is, maybe once. But the facts are the facts, folks. Yeah, the evidence never lies. And if I do my research, I'm thorough. And but that was a lot of fun. That's why the full view is a lot of fun. And look, if you can't at this point with Manchester United, right? If you can't laugh, then what can you do? Because you have to look at that and just go, we could wallow around in the misery of it, and we could say, it's terrible and it's bad, and we know it's bad, but we can still try and have a bit of fun, put smiles on people's faces, especially, in what has been just the worst season, honestly, absolutely the worst season. It's just terrible, isn't it? Anyway, guys, look, as I mentioned, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Tomorrow, what we got on tap tomorrow? I'm not allowed to tell you what we've got on tap tomorrow, actually remembering it. later on in the evening, we'll have the Flex and KG show, which is always a lot of fun. And then, yeah. See, I'm walking a very delicate line right now. So I'm not going to say anything else. As I mentioned, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good Monday, and I'll speak with you again very soon. Peace.